You're about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So there has been a breakthrough that researchers have come out with regarding colon cancer. Boy, okay. Can I be more eloquent? Jeez. Anyway, researchers have come up with a colon cancer breakthrough that they believe might be the culprit to why we have younger adults being afflicted with colon cancer. In addition to so many other theories that we have in terms of obesity and diet, they believe this is something that is affecting them as a child, where it's a strain of E. coli that is colonizing the colons of children and leaving a DNA, shall we say, culprit that can later cause changes within the colon. Now, this was a study published in April 23 in Nature. And these are researchers from the University of California, San Diego. Eureka Alert is reporting on this. And they say an international team of researchers have identified a potential microbial, they even use the word culprit, behind the alarming rise in early onset colorectal cancer. It is a toxin that they believe some E. coli strains produce called colibactin. It is produced by certain strains of Escherichia coli or E. coli that reside in the colon and rectum. And this colibactin is a toxin capable of altering the DNA. Now, they say exposure to this in early childhood imprints a distinct genetic signature on the DNA of colon cells that may increase their risk of developing colorectal cancer before the age of 50. So while everybody's all excited that we've had this breakthrough, I'm like, oh boy. I mean, some of the other theories were preventable at least. This, wow. How do you know if you were, exposed? How do you prevent getting exposed? Well, it's a start. We've at least made some headway. This new study analyzed 981 colorectal cancer genomes from patients with both early and late onset colon cancer across 11 countries with varying risk levels to colon cancer. And they found that colibactin levels behind specific patterns of DNA mutations were 3.3 times more common in the early onset cases than those where colon cancer was diagnosed after the age of 70. Now, they said these mutation patterns were also particularly prevalent in countries with a high incidence of early onset cases. Now, this doesn't mean cause and effect, but it means that they might have found one of the causes, and then maybe they can have medications that target this. But colorectal cancer is now on the rise in young adults in multiple countries. So this isn't just an America thing. Its incidence in adults under 50 has roughly doubled over the past 20 years. If current trends continue, colorectal cancer is projected to become the leading cause of cancer-related death among young adults in 2030. So being that it's multiple countries, what's different? Okay, well, I mean, it could be that a new strain, we've talked about how bacteria, viruses could be oncogenic, or they could produce things that could cause cancer later in life. So it could be that this affected some of the millennials and the Gen Zs that didn't necessarily affect Gen X and baby boomers, and that's why we're seeing younger individuals. My theory behind colorectal cancer and these cases rising is multifocal. A big thing is obesity. Obesity has been linked to colon cancer, and we across the board in multiple countries have obesity. Also, our choice of foods. Before it was farm fresh, and you would, not necessarily use fast food as your main staple. And over the last few decades, there have been kids where their main diet was McDonald's. And I'm not saying McDonald's causes colon cancer, but, when I was growing up, fast food was a treat. And now fast food is cheaper than regular food and regular groceries. So people are able to feed their family with fast food when they go to the, grocery store, and it costs at least $100 just to try to put a dinner together. So I think a lot of our preservatives in fast food. I also think people aren't pooping like they should. People are holding it in. They're not, they have a different attitudes towards pooping. Somebody gets diarrhea, they immediately run to the Imodium. Why aren't you letting you get the stuff out? And I mean, if you get a case of E. coli, get it out. And I understand there's E. coli that colonizes and there's E. coli that's bad. But our attitudes towards stooling is different. And then in the last few years, COVID changed things where people are sitting more. We've had study after study saying the more you sit, the higher the risk of colon cancer. Well, you need to be moving. You need to be out and about. And the fact that a lot of people are working from home or working on their computers or watching videos or playing video games is changing things. You used to play outside. So my generation, we were outside. We were on big wheels. We were making mud pies. We were doing all sorts of stuff, getting in trouble, getting chased around the house to get a whooping. Now it's, kids are sitting. They're always sitting. And so I think, there's a lot of issues. And then another thing, too, is we really have incorporated sugar more into our lives. When I would visit my grandma, she would have Lucky Charms. And I was so excited that was the only time I got Lucky Charms was when I went to my grandma in California. And it was a treat. Now, people have sugary cereals all the time. That's just their main breakfast. Sugar is added to food. I went to a Chinese restaurant. It was delicious, but man, it was sugary. Barbecue. A lot of people are eating barbecue. Now, I don't want to attack barbecue per se, but barbecue and different and restaurants of barbecue have exploded. People love their meat because they've been trying to do low carb, so they're eating more meat. Well, how much sugar is in barbecue sauce? We've incorporated sugar into everything. I had a coleslaw the other day, and it was sweet. Why is coleslaw sweet? You're not supposed to be adding sugar, but there's sugar being added to everything. And that's an issue. And I really think sugar is a big culprit. And then people just don't like to eat fiber. You got to increase your fiber. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on X or Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So one of the things on my bucket list is to scuba dive the Great Barrier Reef. Gosh. Yes, I am certified in scuba diving, but oh my gosh, this has been something I have dreamed about as a little girl. And I have been so grateful for those individuals that have worked to preserve it. It is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, and it is alive and it is thriving thanks to the great work of so many. Now, joining us today are 2 experts to share details about a global initiative to recognize this amazing treasure with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Natalie Smith is Senior Marine Biologist and Master Reef Guide with GBR Biology, and Mark Olson is a Great Barrier Reef Advocate and CEO of Tourism, Tropical North Queensland. Welcome, Natalie Smith and Mark Olson.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
Wow, we are so appreciative of you. Mr. Olson, if you don't mind, I'll start with you. Please tell us about the efforts to honor the Great Barrier Reef.
Dr. Daliah, you absolutely nailed it in your intro. The Great Barrier Reef has affected so many people around the world. Hundreds of millions of people feel just like you do. The Great Barrier Reef is on their bucket list. It's a place they've always wanted to see, and that's inspired people to learn about and want to know more about coral reefs around the world. It's why it got a World Heritage listing, because it's such an important ecosystem. But it's the second point that you made that we want to bring up today. It's the gratefulness that the Great Barrier Reef has created, a gratefulness for the people like Natalie who are out conserving the Great Barrier Reef that we want to recognise. That's why we want to change the game. We want to get the Great Barrier Reef a recognition that's never been won by a non-human before. It's the world's largest living entity, and it should be recognised for what is the highest honour for an environment, the United Nations Environment Program Lifetime Achievement Award, and it should be won by the Great Barrier Reef in 2025 with your support.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Ms. Smith, being a biologist, I mean, you can't overestimate or overemphasize all the amazing things to the ecosystem the Great Barrier Reef does. Talk to us about why it's so important to recognize this.
Absolutely. So as Mark just said, it is the largest living entity in the world. You know, it supports over 9,000 different species, one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on this planet. You know, it stretches over 1,400 miles long. So Miami to Boston, it's the beating heart of the ocean. It provides so much life for the planet, but it is so much more to that to so many people. It's a teacher, a mentor, a provider, a healer. It's home, and we want it recognised.
Now, what are some challenges facing our Great Barrier Reef?
Absolutely. So the Great Barrier Reef does face a few challenges, and its greatest threat is climate change through growing or increasing disturbances like heat stress, tropical cyclones, outbreaks of natural predators like the crown of thorns starfish and Drapella snail. So, you know, having marine biologists out there on tourism boats every day, we're able to collect data, we're able to monitor the reef, we know how healthy our sites are, and how well that some of those areas do actually bounce back after these disturbances, and areas that aren't faring so well. And that's when we might need to step in and look at restoration or site-assisted recovery. But the beauty about tourism is it's at the forefront of 21st century conservation, and education is key, having our guests out every day and educating them on how amazing the reef is. You once people understand something, they love it. When people love something, they want to protect it.
So true. And Mr. Olson, this initiative with the Lifetime Achievement Award, this should help at least preserve this natural treasure.
Absolutely, in 2 really important ways, Dr. Daliah. Firstly, what we've got to do is create a global momentum for recognition of the importance of coral reefs, not only this great reef, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, but the coral reefs around the world. And people can do that by jumping onto our website, alifetimeofgreatness.com, and showing their support for the Great Barrier Reef to be the first non-human to ever win this Lifetime Achievement Award. And that turns us into action. From the website, you can see all of the programs that are running around reef conservation, reef science, and reef education. So we've got to create a global momentum, and we've got to recognise that coral reefs are more than just places on maps. They're more than just names. They're our friends, our colleagues. They're our inspiration. They're our teacher. And just like you, we are so grateful to be so close to the Great Barrier Reef, and that's why we believe it deserves to be the first non-human, the world's largest living entity, to be the first recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award for a non-human. And this is the year to do it, but you've got to jump on to alifetimeofgreatness.com, show your support, and tell your friends to do the same.
Absolutely. In the last minute or so, anything else you'd like to share with our listeners on how they can help?
Yeah, jump onto the website, alifetimeofgreatness.com. Get inspired, get informed, and then get the message out there to all of your friends. Let's create a global momentum to support and protect coral reefs around the world, and let's celebrate in November with the Great Barrier Reef being the first non-human to win a Lifetime Achievement Award from the United Nations Environment Program with your support.
I love it. Oh, my gosh. Well, Mr. Olson, Ms. Smith, thank you. God bless you. Can't wait to have you back.
Fantastic. Thank you for your support.
1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. You know, what's interesting, when you go for your scuba training, or if, those of you are active snorkelers or other diving enthusiasts, they teach you how to protect the environment you're in. And, people always say, well, gosh, you have all these swimmers and tourists, that could be affecting our coral reefs. I think there's a benefit to having the introduction of people. This debate also follows with zoos and wildlife parks. For me, I think an appreciation and an education of what is out there helps. I mean, I don't want to see animals confined. I don't want to see fish confined, and not, thriving and but on the other end, to teach people about how amazing these animals are and allowing them to see and understand, I think they do have an appreciation. And, what I see, I've tried to visit every city I go to. I try to visit an aquarium, because I love learning about fish. I just love fish. I love the water. And yes, I understand. I did finally learn that starfish appear to have a little bit of a tushy. Did you guys see that? These starfish, SpongeBob SquarePants is not inaccurate. Patrick does have a tushy in SpongeBob SquarePants. And apparently these starfish do have what to me looks like a mid-gluteal cleft, what layman people call butt crack. But seeing fish and how they interact with others and what they need and the beauty of it reminds you, because you get into your own small world. I have my studio, I have my home, I have my home office, I have my car, I have my refrigerator, and the only thoughts I give to the beauty and the environment around us is, okay, well, one day I want to scuba dive there, or one day I want to visit there. But for these, natural wonders to still stay, as fresh and vibrant and alive as they are, it takes activity, it takes awareness. And I'm grateful for those individuals who do work for these national parks or who work for conservation efforts. And, the globe changes, the climate changes, and things will affect our natural wonders. Now, we've received natural wonders because of climate change. We now have the Grand Canyon. I mean, we have rock formations and new oceans and rivers, and because Earth changes. But something like the Great Barrier Reef, I never want to see go away. And for those of you who really want to, start to kind of dive in and visit that other dimension. It's a whole nother world underwater. And I understand I get a little scared underwater. My ears bother me. So I can't, I don't scuba dive a lot because my ears, and I can't equalize as well as I used to. And I am getting older. But I'm also a little bit more buoyancy now that I have more fat mass. But even if you snorkel or whatever, take that opportunity. It's very safe, and to enjoy what's beneath the surface, and to see what's out there, and it's a whole nother world. And you get such a different perspective on us not being the only creatures out there, and what it always reinforces my belief in God, because the creatures and how science created such a living ecosystem is it's amazing. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So I never rushed a sorority when I was in school. One is because I didn't have the looks. I was like, there's no way a sorority would take me. Two, I had to work multiple part-time jobs. I didn't have time. I didn't have money because I knew you needed money. But also a very, very small part of me was afraid of the hazing. Now, sororities didn't haze as bad as fraternities, but fraternities, however, in the 90s, when I went to college, were notorious for doing some pretty bad things to their pledges. One, I do not want to go into too much detail, but the one that we were very well aware of that seemed to happen on college campus was the Elephant Walk. The Elephant Walk included a bunch of naked young pledges having to walk in a circle with a hand on the member in front genitals. And a hand on the back. I'm not exactly sure how that worked, but it's called the Elephant Walk. And, to think that you had to stand there naked and be doing that in front of others while they were laughing at you. Gosh, imagine going through hazing now with smartphones and pictures, and colleges have cracked down. But a few years back, John Hamm, actor John Hamm, I'm a fan of his acting. He's a great actor. I loved him in Mad Men. He's in Landman. He's in multiple things. He's Tag. I thought he was great in that. Well, apparently his past keeps resurfacing, where he was sued as well as arrested, but charges dropped. I think he had a plea deal over a hazing incident in which a young pledge allegedly was tortured. And the allegation is that John Hamm was the ringleader of the fraternity of that was hazing at the time, such that he got a nickname MC Hammer because of what he would do. And so the description of this, let me see if I have, it was this article came from Nikki Swift. This was a couple years ago, where he I think was at the University of Missouri, right? And then before that, he attended the University of Texas, Austin, and he was part of Sigma Nu, according to Washington Post. Now, he I guess, was a part of, I think, he was listed with 7 of the fraternity brothers, where an incident back in 1990 occurred where Mark Allen Sanders was severely beaten, had a claw of hammer beneath his genitals, was being led around by that, and his pants were set on fire. According to this article, Nikki Swift, the incident happened in 1990, and the lawsuit called out Ham specifically because he was mad, I mean really mad, unquote, when Sanders messed up or couldn't remember mandatory facts about fraternity members. Ham also allegedly used a paddle to hit Sanders, among other claims. Now, I believe some of the injuries included Mark Sanders' kidney getting damaged. So people reported that Ham had a warrant out for his arrest along with the other members. This was in 1993. And I guess he had a deferred adjudication as his charge, a plea deal where the defendant receives court-ordered requirements like community service, probation, and some sort of program in exchange for pleading guilty or no contest. So I don't think he served any prison time for that, and I believe there was a lawsuit. I'm not exactly sure what happened with the lawsuit, but this has come back to surface as Mark Allen Sanders has given some, heartbreaking account details of how he was beaten, dragged around a room by his genitals, pants set on fire, and he's claiming Ham was the ringleader, a part of 7 Sigma Nu brothers and this hazing incident. And so, when I read about this, he said he was hurting bad. He was hit right where the kidney is, and I think he had to undergo medical procedures. And I don't want to go into all the stuff that had to do with, I think, underwear and oh my gosh. So when you listen to this, I mean, on one end, I understand that actors, can be targets where people could come back and say they were assaulted, etc. On the other end, we know that fraternity hazing was bad. It was rough, very, very rough. Now, when my sons pledged, luckily it was nicer. They didn't have to. In fact, I scared my sons. I'm like, they aren't going to make you do the elephant walk. I mean, I didn't want to turn them off to fraternity, but I like, hazing is bad. Thank God hazing isn't like it used to be, although it might be very covertly. But remember, we had recent deaths. Colleges had to crack down because people were forced to drink, hard alcohol and down bottles until they had alcohol poisoning and died. And so, these kids, they get drunk, they get high, they get enamored with power, and they become, ruthless. I don't know about John Hamm's innocence or not. These are allegations, but I'm not surprised that you're going to hear more of this come out. And, these pledges were tortured and hazing, has always been a ritual, even in medical school. Us medical students, we might not have been hazed as bad as fraternities, but boy, was it bad. And what you go through was considered a rite of passage. The abuse, the yelling, the insults, the getting dumped on with work, doing favors for people, and the no sleep, and it's, and then once you get through, the idea behind it is, well, you appreciate it more, or, it's you earned now your status. And we don't do that. We've protected medical students. I'm sure law students and dental students also had hazing rituals, and I'm against it. I don't think it's necessary. I think it allows people above you to be power happy. And I got to tell you, my senior residents and the attendings were ridiculous. They were brutal. In fact, I was a medical student going, looking at them going, you're doctors? You're so mean. I didn't say that. I wanted to. I'm like, you're so mean. You're so ruthless. You're acting so vicious. How the hell did you get into medical school? You're supposed to be empathetic. You're supposed to be kind. You are awful, awful. But it's because they got hazed, and then they turn around and then they do it to the younger ones. Yeah. And it's frightening to see people turn to that. John Hamm, I mean, yeah, he's got that jock build. I wouldn't be surprised if all of this, was, part of his, past, or he's a part of a fraternity, and then he becomes alpha and he's bigger than all of them, and he's, but it's a shame that that's what people could do. And so, now online they're calling to cancel him and all that. I believe everybody has a chance to redeem themselves. I believe, I don't know if he has, spoken to this person. I don't know if he's, and I understand most lawyers will say, stay away. You did your plea agreement, you did your, but I think, we do have to have some honest conversations about some of the trauma, a lot of the trauma that happened in previous years to individuals that affected them badly or caused major medical issues. People losing eyes, people losing livers, people getting ulcers, all to be a part of a stupid fraternity. And it's very similar to gang sort of behavior. You want to become a part of this fraternity because that's your protection. But to get into that fraternity, you have to go through hell. But you feel like once you're there, now you have a group of brothers. Now you've made it to the promised land. You're going to be protected, forever safe. And there's a lot of individuals that find that attractive, and they will go through that pain. And we're seeing that not only in fraternities, but we're seeing that with gangs. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. Totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So making headlines is how Elon Musk is going to be slowly transitioning back, maybe not slowly, but needing to refocus on his companies, including Tesla. As things have started to kind of change, especially with shares falling. And, Elon Musk, a part of Doge, has been a very, very popular part of the Trump administration for those who voted for Trump. For those who didn't vote for Trump, they've disliked Elon Musk to the point where individuals have called for, domestic terrorist acts on Tesla dealerships and people owning Teslas. And it really got out of hand. And, the DOGE cutting waste, fraud, and abuse is something that I think bipartisanly people agree on. And you even hear Democrats say, I agree. We do need to cut waste, fraud, and abuse. Just where people differ is on how it happens. And, whether Elon Musk is doing it with surgical precision or with the, iconic chainsaw image, that he kind of paraded on a stage. I think, there's no easy way to clean up the waste, fraud, and abuse. But I think Elon Musk has done historical moves. Now, his job with Doge was always supposed to be temporary. So from what I understood, he and Vivek Ramaswamy were supposed to work together until July 4th of this year. You didn't need to have long-term employees, shall we say, finding the waste, fraud, and abuse, because 6 months in, you would think that you would find it all. Apparently, the task is a lot bigger. And the waste, fraud, and abuse, like a cancer, is so infiltrated in every agency that, rather than just seeing, Elon Musk, once in a while come out for a press conference, it looks like he is day in and day out working on this with the team that he put together. And so July 4th coming up pretty quickly. Soon that timeline changed to May, where last month we heard he is going to have to get back to his businesses, whether it's SpaceX, Tesla, because he is the heart of it. One of the reasons why these companies have been so successful is because of his work ethic and because of, his innovation and, him ensuring his workers are doing work. And what he's done for the government, saying, look, you got to get back to work. You got to tell us what you did last week. You need to show accountability of what you're doing. If your job is not necessary, we aren't going to pay for that job anymore. Yeah, it probably ruffled a lot of feathers, but that type of the way he runs his businesses has made him one of the most successful businessmen and has had some of the most successful companies, such that the government needed SpaceX to save our NASA astronauts. When our government can't do something, they've had to actually go to Elon Musk to do it, which I think is still frightening. Not because we've had to use Elon Musk, but why is NASA so vulnerable where they need private enterprise to help them? I understand we utilize a lot of civilian contractors and we do work with private enterprise, but to the point with space, we've had to use a private company to help us rescue our own astronauts. And so we need Elon Musk at SpaceX. We need Elon Musk at Tesla, for those of you who are shareholders. What he's working on in terms of robotics, in terms of self-driving cars, we don't want that on hold. Now, maybe he has a great team, but with shares falling, and mind you, the shares, the stock market has been correcting, even though it's been good the last couple of days, correcting from, the rise in the previous year and fiscal quarter. I think it is a good move. Is Elon Musk can't be working for the government every day, and I think his special government contract or whatever that was only supposed to be about 130 days total. You guys might know more than I, but we're being told that now he is going to work significantly less. However, he's not going to be gone. He actually is not leaving in May. We're being told that he is going to still be around, whether it's a day a week or 2 days a week, but he is going to be cutting his Doge time back, quote, significantly, starting in May. They say he's going to continue to spend a day or two a week on government issues for as long as the president would like me to do so. Now, this commentary came after, people have been kind of looking at, China and their electric vehicles and what's been going on with Tesla. And now these cases of people getting caught on camera. What idiots keying people's cars. It just, what blows my mind is the majority of people that ran out and, embraced the electric vehicle technology were individuals, of the opposite party of Trump. And to see people go after them when they might be in their same political party, it just highlights the fact that I said, where if, you allow hate will come back and haunt you. You might think you're on the safe side, and then somebody decides that you are a part of the wrong side. And all you did was nothing. You just, lived. And all of a sudden now you find yourself on the hated side. And now you find yourself a victim. And so I don't want anybody getting, keyed. If you bought a Tesla, it's because you wanted to buy an electric vehicle. Now, I understand some people might have bought it for political reasons, but everybody I know who has a Tesla really likes the car. It's a good car. It's cool. I don't have one yet because I really love my Corvette. So I'm going to still keep it. And, I get such good gas mileage that I don't really believe I would save that much money. And I just really love my car. And I do a lot of travel, a lot of driving. I'm just not ready to be out on the highway and worried about losing a charge. I know where every gas station is. I know where every bathroom is. I'm in my comfort zone, but I will eventually get an electric vehicle. I think they're very, very cool. I need to know that the batteries are safe and I'm not going to hit a tree and ignite. It was, phenomenal technology. I think a lot of governments and local governments, or like Gavin Newsom, tried to push it too fast, too hard. And rich people can get electric vehicles a lot easier than poor people, not to mention they could charge them a lot easier. But, if you're middle class or lower income and you live in an apartment, where the hell are you charging an electric vehicle? Especially, me, every apartment I've had, I had to park out on the street, wherever parking I could find. So it wouldn't get charged at all. So we'll see what happens with Doge. Elon Musk, appears to have assembled a team, an amazing team, but how he does things, which a lot of, successful people do, is he's very hands-on. When the cat's away, the mouse is out to play. And you would think, whatever's been happening at SpaceX and Tesla has been running smoothly because he assembled a team. But it seems like his shareholders want him back. They don't like how Tesla shares have dropped. Okay, there's a lot of innovation, a lot of things they're working on, and he seems to be working, with the government a lot more than, and it doesn't seem to be letting up. It doesn't look like, they're going to be finished with their job anytime soon, because the more they look, the more they find, and it is a huge task. And who knows what's even happening on the local level. So we'll see what happens, but that's the latest 1877.Dali.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.